Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Brokers Traders Espresso with me, Darius Onchauskas. Today is the 17th of September 2018. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a look at a few instruments. I hope you had a wonderful weekend, guys, and everybody's rested so that we could start looking at the markets, start trading them. And but before we actually start jumping into the charts, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest and we can continue. Also, just a very quick reminder of our JFD Brokers website and specifically our JFD research page, where you can go in and have a look at different analysis that we do on a daily basis. So yep, feel free guys, feel free to check us out, and I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here. So for now, let's jump into the charts. Now the first one I want to quickly touch on is DAX. Now DAX is still trading here outside of this kind of formation, this kind of triangle formation, but to be honest, it would be wrong to call this more of a triangle formation, because as you can see, we do have big gaps here, and like a lot of space here, and then a lot of space here underneath. So for now, we're gonna just mention this as the we're currently trading still below this upside support line, this medium term upside support line taken from the low of the 26th of March. And of course, this is the these are the levels that I was watching, and last week I was talking about this and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this area right here at around 12,100 level. As you can see, it acted as a very nice area of resistance here. In the past it acted as a support, but now we've managed to break this. On Friday we managed to break this and close above that level. Certainly some could say that we're looking quite bullish now, but to be honest, don't rush into this idea yet, because as you can see, it's getting closer towards this this upside support line that I was just talking about. It might touch it from underneath, and if it continues to hold, I mean, the bears could see this as a nice opportunity to jump in again and potentially drive the index back down. So for now, be very cautious here, be very careful, and of course keep monitoring this area. So especially especially around here, and that's approximately around the 12,200, something like that. So excuse me. For the upside, well, we would need to see not only a good break and a close above this upside support line, but also actually a close above this level right here, the 12,250. And let me just jump into a 4-hour chart on this one, so you can see this. This is quite an important level to watch here, and for us to kind of start considering higher levels, we would need to see a good close here above this level, above the 12,250, and only then we could potentially aim for higher levels, like the 12,585 approximately there, marked here by near the highs of the 28th of August. So yep, something like this could be possible, but again, like I said, let's say going back into the daily chart here, keep your eyes on this upside support line, as it could act as a very nice area of resistance here for the index, and especially given the fact that it's also coming closer to, or should I say, the 21 EMA is coming closer to that line as well. So again, could be a lot of stalling here initially until the bulls and the bears kind of figure out who takes control of this index. Let's jump into one commodity quickly, and that's gold. And certainly gold continues to trade nowhere. Certainly, as you can see here, it's stuck here between these kind of two levels here, approximately there. Of course, the 1190 on the downside and the 1207 approximately there. Keeps kind of overshooting it a few times, but to be honest, never gets close above that level. So So for now, guys, certainly looking at the bigger picture, as you can see, also the gold is still trading below this downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 11th of April. And of course, for now, judging by this, I mean, we still kind of need to, let's say, remain more to the bearish side. But to be honest, on a very short-term picture, we could see maybe a push higher here, where we could test this downside resistance line and then, of course, move down again. But again, it's a bit of a tricky one, I would say. I mean, this idea is a bit of a tricky one, because if we do get a nice break here above this, if let's say gold had enough already of the downside, and if this is going to be this area here is the bulls will see this area as a nice perfect timing, let's say, to jump in again, and we could see further acceleration to the upside. But then again, for us to start aiming for much higher levels, we would need to see a nice good break here on the close above this 1235 level, which marked here by the highs of the well, at the levels here seen in the end of July. Only then we could probably aim for higher levels like 1266 and above. But for now, like I said, we're still trading below this downside resistance line here. Be very careful, because if suddenly this reverses back to the downside and moves and breaks the 1190, still keep your eyes on the 1183 mark. As you can see here, act as a good support on the 24th of August and around the 23rd of August as well. So keep your eyes on that one, because a nice good close below this 1183 could open the path towards this low that we saw here around the 16th of August, and that's around the 1160 mark. So something like this could be possible. But then again, like I said, for now, keep your eyes on this little range that the commodity is trading in, and if we do get a nice break here above the 1207, then this could open the path towards slightly higher levels here, the 1215 or the 1218, or even actually this test of this downside resistance line. So for now, keep your eyes on these key levels. Let's jump into Bitcoin quickly. Certainly this one is kind of running flat right now, let's say like that. It found its resistance last week near the 65.55 zone, so 6,555 level, so approximately there, and you can see the bulls got held here. So now the big question here is this going to continue pushing higher or not? Because as you can see, the crypto is kind of trading here below this very short-term downside resistance line taken from the peak of the 24th of July, and if this continues to push a little bit higher, that's great. I mean, of course, for slightly higher levels, we need to see this break in a close above this 65.55 level in order to just aim for the 6,800 level, or even, like I said, a test of this downside resistance line. It could be possible. This is where the rate or the price could stall initially. Maybe we could see something like this, a correction back to the downside towards the 65.55 level. And of course, if that holds, I mean, we could see another attempt here towards another push higher here towards the downside resistance line. But for now, of course, be very cautious with this one. On the downside, well, if this level, the 65.55 level, continues to hold, to be honest, we're still not going to rush into those sell orders. We're going to keep an eye on this little level right here, the 61.20 mark, approximately there, marked by the low of the 8th of September. Now, if we would get a nice break here in a close below this level, now this is where it could become more interesting. We could start aiming for the 58.60 mark, which was the low here on the 14th of August. We could aim for that level, but only if we get a nice break here below the 61.20. Certainly, if this continues to drop further, now this could turn out to be quite ugly for Bitcoin, and we could see further declines going back into the into these 5,000s here, maybe 5,500 could be a nice level to watch, but to be honest, let's not get ahead of ourselves too much, and let's see initially if it actually wants to go back down here and test the 6120. If it doesn't, I mean, keep your eyes on the 65.55, because if we get a nice break here above, we could start aiming for these higher levels that I was just talking about. Let's jump into euro dollar. Now the euro dollar is well, it's a bit of a tricky one, and even though we saw good moves last week, and as you can see all this week it continued to push higher since Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday were marked by these bullish candles, but then coming Friday, when Friday came, yep, we saw this bearish candle forming here and pushing it to the downside. Still, the weekly candle closed in the positive zone, but to be honest, we're still very cautious. You can see that the bulls are still not really that strong, and looking at this 4-hour chart here right now, you can see that yes, we are trading here slightly just above this very short-term upside support line taken from the 10th of September, from the low of Monday last week, and certainly this is going to be the big question here. Are we gonna continue pushing higher, or is this support line going to hold, or we're actually going to break it and move lower? Now, the big thing here is that actually last week it went down and closed below this 116.60, and that's why if it would have stayed above this, then I mean we could be more confident in the upside. But for now, we're just, let's say, we're going to remain more cautious, and also we do have some news coming out later on today from Europe, and yep, that's the CPI figures for the European Union, and so keep your eyes on that. We might see a bit of volatility kicking in here. So yep, guys, for now, like I said, be very careful. If this, let's say, if this upside support line breaks and we make a move lower, keep your eyes on this 115.70 mark approximately there. Let me just quickly actually it's more of a 65 zone here. No, I do apologize. There we go. Let me just 15.70, that's going to be the one to watch. So the 115.70, guys, could be a nice potential area of support if we get a break here below this short-term upside support line. Further declines, of course, could lead to a possible test of the 115.30. As you can see, the 115.30 acted as a very good area of support here in the past. It acted as good support here in the end of August, then of course in the beginning of September, and on this 10th of September as well. So for now, be very careful. You can see that the bears are kind of trying to control this, get into control, of course, and trying to kind of push this 4-hour candle here to the downside now. But again, like I said, be very careful. Let's wait for the news to come out, and let's see what it wants to do further on. I mean, on the upside, if this suddenly gets back above the 116.60, we could start aiming for these recent highs that we saw here around the 117 level, or even actually aiming a little bit higher towards the 117.35, as this level was marked here by the high of the 28th of August, and as you can see, it acts as a very good area of resistance. So that level could be tested, but only if we get a nice break here above the 116.60 level. So something for you guys to keep an eye on. Quite an interesting pair right now, quite an interesting developments happening here. So let's see if it actually breaks this upside support line, or actually makes a nice bounce and recovers and goes back up again. And the last pair that I really wanted to touch on, and that's USDJPY. Now, jumping quickly into the daily chart on this one, you can see it continues to climb higher here. Last week we broke this key area of resistance I was talking about in one of my videos last week. I was telling you guys to keep an eye on it. That was approximately 111.85 mark. Let me just quickly adjust this nicely. So yep, approximately there. So we had a nice break and a close above that level, and of course now you can see that Friday's candle also closed in the positive, but still slightly below the next area that we're keeping an eye on, the next area of resistance, and that's around the 112.15 zone. So in a way, now we're stuck between these two levels. Certainly keep your eyes on that. If this continues to push higher, and if this breaks the 112.15 level, now this could become more interesting for the bulls, because it could open the path towards this 113.15 mark, approximately there. This was the high that we saw here in July. It was near that high, of course. So yep, good potential area to watch, the 113.15, but only if we get a nice break here above the 112.15 zone. So on the downside, if let's say even if we're going to get a break here below this 111.85 zone, now this is still not everything is lost for the bulls, because as you can see, we're still we could be still above this this upside support line, this very short-term upside support line. Let me just quickly put it on here, and there we go. So this basically, a break below the 111.85 could lead to a possible test of this upside support line, which could potentially prove to be a nice bouncing ground for the pair to move back up here. And yep, we could start aiming for higher levels again. So, but for now, of course, be very careful. If let's say this upside support line here, if it breaks and we see a close below that level, then well, keep your eyes on this little level right here. And actually, to be honest, this is the possible breaking point, because this is how you could potentially guide yourself. So a nice good break here below and close below the 111.65 could open the path towards lower levels, like this one right here, and that's around the 111.100 mark, approximately. They're seen as the low here on the 12th of September. So something like this could be possible. Basically, let me just put a few arrows here. So this is something to watch here on the downside, but on the upside, again, if the 111.85 mark holds, that's wonderful. We could see a rebound straight away, but if it doesn't, still the bulls should not let's say could still basically aim for higher levels, because like I said, this upside support line could prove to be itself as a nice bouncing ground. So okay guys, that's going to be it for today, or should I say for this morning. If you want to join me later on in my Traders Tea Time, and that's 13:15 GMT time, 14:15 British Summer Time. But for now, thank you very much, and bye bye.